Today we go over Thus Spoke Zarathustra by Nietzsche. I hope I say that right. I probably don't, but you know what? We'll try. We'll keep trying. But yeah, so this book is very interesting. This book is the title Zarathustra. It was the basically Christian religion before Christianity. You can look throughout history and see a lot of myths, a lot of religions that were based around a central figure that was semi-godlike. And it's not to say that Nietzsche was trying to bring back these beliefs, but he was trying to embody someone who was above man, embody someone that was superior to man. And he's coming down to tell you that you can be just as good as him too if you ditch all of the beliefs, if you ditch everything that's limiting you, if you ditch everything that's forcing you to conform. When you set your own beliefs, when you set your own standards, when you persist beyond the norms, when you create your own ideas, when you accept only that which benefits you, then you are perfect. Then you are the Ubermensch, then you are the Superman. And this is the central idea of the book. It's breaking down everything that limits you to become all you can be. And basically Nietzsche says that you're somewhere in between the Ubermensch and an animal, and the animal is the barbarians, the people that are conquering, the people that all they want is war. Somewhat in between is society, somewhat in between is normalcy, and then at the top is the Superman. And it's a very interesting idea. There's a few other things that I want to talk about from the book. The other thing I really want to bring up is the idea of eternal recurrence. This is an idea that someone has told me to look into for a lot of time, and I really didn't give it too much credit. I really didn't go into this idea with any sort of significance, but it really does make a lot of sense. And the idea of eternal recurrence is the idea that you are going to live your life over and over again. These same exact circumstances is what you're going to live. And it's called amor fati, loving your fate, loving your lot in life. And it's not to say that like what you're going to do is set in stone. It's to say make the most of your life. The idea is like if you had to live your life for the rest of time, for the rest of existence, would you do it the same way? Would you live your life in fear? Would you live your life in lack? Would you live your life, subsiding to everything that holds you in place? Or would you try to break free from it? Would you try to do something else? Would you live your life in a more gracious, more appreciative way? That's the idea of it. And it's truly a beautiful idea if taken in that context, but it's also a destructive idea if people believe that you're going to live the same life, so why live it? So why try anything? This is the idea of reincarnation making some people lazy. This is one of the criticisms of reincarnation, because if I can do it in the next life, then I don't have to do it this life. But that's just not really how it is. But again, these are ideas that in its purest form are beautiful ideas. In its decrepit form are limiting. Again, the last thing I want to talk about is the idea that God is dead. I think this is the second book he mentions the idea of God is dead. I know I talked about this in a stream, but when Nietzsche says God is dead, it's not the idea that you're thinking about. It's not a set atheistic standard. It's not, oh my God, there's no such thing as God. It's the idea that we took a belief system that was so pure, that was so beneficial, that was so uplifting to man, and made it a political system, made it a system of power, made it a system that separated the individual from the spirit, that you have to go to a priest to get some sort of enlightenment, that you have to go to the church and give them money to redeem your soul. And that's really the idea of it. It's the idea that we corrupted the idea of God and we made it into something that is not uplifting. We made it into something that is detrimental. We made it into something that justifies war. I mean, look at how many crusades there were. It's like, do you think Jesus would justify the crusades? I mean, he was about turning the other cheek. He was about not judging others. He was about, understanding that what we do in this world is not as important as the morality that we hold behind it, the beliefs that we hold behind it, the spirit and the soul that we persist in, not falling and succumbing to the influence of the people around us. And it's really interesting to see this criticism, because Nietzsche is often grouped in with the existentialist atheists, and he's probably an atheist, maybe agnostic at best, but the idea that he's trying to get across is that the conception of what we have as God nowadays is detrimental. And he was saying this in, I think this was written in the 1880s. sometime around then, and it's more apparent now than ever because just go online and look at what people say about God. Look at the ideas that are spread about God. They're so restrictive, they're so repressive, they're so judgmental, and none of it's about uplifting the individual. It's about coming together and supporting the church and doing all these things. But the real genesis of the faith is Christ lives within you. The kingdom of heaven is within you, purifying your soul so that you can be the best you can be towards others, not judging others. Let he who hath no sin cast the first stone. This idea, and it's so ironic that some of the people that have the most amount of followers when it comes to faith, some of the churches and some of the institutions that are the most repressive and restrictive, are the ones that are telling you to be better, the ones that are telling you that this is the only one true way of God. And it's very funny. But you know what? When I read this book, what I did parse through, what I did really see is I saw glimmers of Emerson. I saw glimmers of one of the greatest philosophers that I've read, and it's really interesting to see a different perspective of Nietzsche, because the other book that I read by him was Beyond Good and Evil, and then the other stuff that I had kind of understood about him was, one, his quotes, two, a lot of my perception was influenced by Camus and what he said about him in The Myth of Sisyphus, and really more what other people said. But when you read this book, you see Nietzsche before he ultimately failed as an individual. And I think you need to judge the ideas and not the individual. He obviously had health issues. He obviously had things, and lack of recognition eventually got to him. And it's a shame, because he truly was one of the greatest minds, and he truly did have something great to say, but he didn't practice what he preached. And that's really what I got from this book. That's really the lesson I got from this book. And I think this is a book that you should pick up, because it's going to make you really think. You might not agree with everything. You might not agree with some of the points he makes, but I think Nietzsche makes the greatest destruction of traditional values, and he does it for the sake of raising the individual. And I think that's truly the only good argument, that to conform to society takes you away from the individual. To conform to society's expectations takes away your personality, takes away your creativity, takes away what makes you great and unique. And if we had a bunch of great and unique people in this world, how great and unique could the world be? Because you don't really see great creation from conformity. You don't see greatness from schools. You don't see greatness from the average corporate office. Like, what you see greatness from is the people that chose to take it upon themselves to do things that were extraordinary, that to do things that would risk their reputation, to do things that were outside the box. And this is where you got Nikola Tesla, this is where you got Thomas Edison, this is where you got Albert Einstein, this is where you got Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo. Like, all of these people were unique, all of these people were different, and it's through accepting these differences, coming to terms with them, and not willing to conform to society's will, that allowed greatness to be shown. And great book. I'm gonna read this book very soon as well, the Gay Science. Then I also just picked up another Nietzsche book. It's called The Will to Power. Apparently that's his magnum opus. I think this is probably going to be his magnum opus, but I'm willing to be proved wrong. But yeah, go ahead, pick up this book. I'll link it in the description. Great book. I wish I picked it up sooner. I've had it for about 6 months to a year, sometime around then, and I just kept looking at it. I never picked it up. I'm very angry at myself, because had I picked this up sooner, I would have learned a lot of interesting things, and I feel like I would have been able to talk about it a lot sooner. And that's the coolest thing about this. My beliefs continue to grow, my perspectives continue to grow, and I continue to bring new ideas, new beliefs to you guys. And hopefully it's interesting, because I find it interesting, and it's really cool to see myself change in real time, see my perspectives change in real time, and my opinions kind of shift one way or the other. And that's all I got for you guys today. If you want more from me, go ahead, join my Discord. On top of that, if you want my own writings, if you want my own philosophical takes, go ahead, join my school community. Love you guys so much. Peace out.